Well, the first move wasn't a surprise. Short as white, playing what he always... somebody told me that out of his last 100 games with white, Short had played e4 99 times.
Yeah, he doesn't really... He likes that move.
I think the one game he didn't play, it was against Kasparov.
And probably lost that one as well.
I don't remember. So they've had the same first 6 moves, I think, in every game in which Short has been white.
Yeah. I mean, Kasparov just loves the Najdorf. I mean, this is A6. This is the beginning of... He always plays this move.
The Najdorf variation of the Sicilian.
Knows it backwards.
The nice thing about the Sicilian is that right at the start, black exchanges pawn here for white's pawn in the centre, and as a result, white gets a little bit more space. The pawn here pushed a little bit further forward than black's pawn. Now, the side with more space must play for the attack.
He also has a very nice knight in the centre on d4. You know, it's well placed right in the centre of the board and can give him good attacking opportunities later on in the game.
So you're black relying on his centre pawns, controlling the important centre squares. He's got a little less space at the start, but as the game goes on longer, the centre pawns become more important. Bobby Fischer's favourite move, the bishop coming out, which Fischer said he would happily play against God and would get the advantage.
Did he relate what God was going to play?
He was asked once what would happen if you played God, and he said, if I had the white pieces, I would be okay, because I play pawn to king 4, and what can he do? If he plays the Sicilian, I play bishop c4, and I've got the advantage, and if he plays e5, I play the Lopez, and you can't lose with that. So probably a draw, we think. God's comment was not recorded. Now, this is the same as game 6, yes?
That's right.
Knight coming out.
Going according to plan.
And that's different.
That's a new move.
He pushed the other pawn, didn't he, in the earlier game?
This is much, much sharper, actually. Because already he's threatening the black knight on f6. So Short's really going for it today.
So it's really accentuating what we said earlier about the Sicilian. White's got even more space. Centre pawn pushed further forwards, but now the pawn may be weak. It's isolated, it's attacked by a knight.
In the ending, that pawn can be very weak. It's got no other pawns that can defend it. If Kasparov can get to an ending, then he's got excellent chances of winning the game. But he must survive the middle game first. And this is a new move. This is a novelty. I don't think this has probably been ever played before. The normal move before that would be bringing the queen just to e2. This is a very aggressive move from Short, and Kasparov's probably ready for it, but from this point on, we know it's going to be a very, very aggressive game.
Well, Kasparov looked a little surprised when that was played, but played his next move fairly quickly.
I'm sure he would have prepared for it.
And they had been playing quite quickly, not taking up too much time on their clocks up until now.
They'd been playing at about the rate of a minute a move, which is fast.
Well, you've got to remember, Kasparov's got a whole team of people working for him day in, day out. I mean, he's probably got 5 to 10 people. I'm sure they're not going to miss a move like Queen G4. They're going to be ready for that one.
And the pawn coming up again to attack the queen. It's astonishing how far black's fallen behind in development in this position. He's got a very solid position and long-term chances of exploiting this pawn. But white's got queen and all 4 pieces out. He's ready to castle either side.
And Kasparov's only developed both his knights. But I used to play the Polyugievsky variation, which is slightly similar to this as black, and there you had a lot worse position and could still hang on. So I think Kasparov will be thinking he'd be quite happy with this. He knows what he's doing, and he'll feel, I'll repel the attack and then win the ending.
You think he knew what he was doing when he played that? You think it's part of the preparation?
I think it is, actually, yes.
Extraordinary move.
It is an unbelievable move.
Well, the idea is just to lure this bishop out of the way so that the knight can take this pawn.
Yeah, but I'm sure this is still part of it, because you don't play moves like this unless you prepared it.
He thought a very long time over that. He thought more than half an hour over that move.
Yeah, I think he was probably just checking his home analysis, just making sure that his seconds, who would have looked at this for him, hadn't made any sort of obvious mistakes.
He had that look of somebody who knew what his next move was going to be, but spent half an hour talking himself into it.
Just to check it over. There's no rush. I mean, he's fallen up in the match. He just wants to he doesn't want to get mated in 2 moves. He's just sort of checking that he doesn't do anything silly.
So if the bishop takes the pawn, the knight takes this one.
Yeah.
Both sides then have their queens attacked.
That's fine for black.
If the queen takes the pawn, perhaps you just exchange queens and then, what, rook out here or something?
Rook there. The ending will be good.
You'll win back this pawn one day.
And in the long term, the ending's very good for black.
And there's something.
That
is
is
this part of
that
Short's
move is
preparation?
I don't know. That is an unbelievable move, just to give up a bishop.
Just leaving the bishop there.
Yeah.
Now, what happens? If the bishop's taken,
Then
what do you do? You sacrifice something on
Well, I
this square?
presume so. You take a pawn, but I mean, it seems hard to believe. Bishop gets taken, you take the pawn, he takes back the knight. I mean, it's just a complete mess.
What happens then to Short's attacking position if he loses that bishop up there?
Well, if he doesn't do something very quickly, he's just going to lose, because you can't give a piece to Kasparov. You've got to have something ready. I suspect he'd probably give up another piece and open up black's king even more.
If he gets this pawn out of the way and then sacrifices a piece on this square to get this pawn out of the way, then he ends up with a queen check here and probably at least a draw.
We think he's got a draw
Can't see
at
more
least.
than a draw.
Maybe more, but he's got the draw in hand, and maybe there's something else.
And Kasparov's just played his queen there. Maybe that means he doesn't want to draw.
I don't understand this at all. Well, he's moving his queen, he's blocking in his bishop, which is on f8, so that can't move. But he's trying just to defend everything, defend the pawn on e6, just be very solid.
Extraordinary.
This is an incredible position.
So there we are, incredible position. Bill, we heard Dominic Lawson saying a little earlier that Nigel Short's intention when he went in was to rip off Kasparov's head. I mean, this was this another example of this kind of going in very aggressively at the beginning?
I think he's suffering from impatience. I can't think of a game. I mean, Kasparov's played the Sicilian this sort of position all his life. I can't think of a game in which he's had his head ripped off. You beat Kasparov by slow attrition.
You can't just blow him out of the water. I mean, you need a bit of subtlety. And to play like this is just unbelievable. I mean, Nigel's beaten him once in 25 games. This strategy does not work. And if he could pull it off today, it would be just remarkable.
However, it has to be said that at this stage in the game, there were people saying that it looked as though Short could well be winning. So, I mean, it's obviously not. You know, there was a chance that it could have worked.
I don't think he's playing percentage chess. I mean, he's got white. He doesn't need to rush. He can just play for a slight advantage and get him, just build up his pieces. I mean, he's attacking. Neither of his rooks are in the game. He's just castled his king, left a bishop sort of that Kasparov can take. I mean, it all just seems such a rush. I mean, you know, he can take his time.
Is he trying to prove something, Bill?
Well, I think on the other hand, to keep our options open in case Short wins, Kasparov has over the years intimidated a lot of people into playing very passively against him and just sort of lying over and playing dead quite early on. And that I think Short has decided that, that this is the way. You must go for him.
OK, Bill, so there we are. We're at move 15, were we, at that
Yes.
stage? Take us on now. Let's see what happens next.
OK, the last move was Kasparov's queen coming out here to hold everything together before the centre and kingside fall apart. So, knight coming in, attacking the queen. And the queen's got nowhere to go, but I think we'd seen that. Knight must take the bishop
but
with
it's
check
check,
first.
that's very
It's
important.
check. So white's got to recapture the knight. And so black's knight has moved away from this square. So the queen's got that square. Now,
So
the
this is
queen's attacking the knight and the pawn's attacking the bishop.
so what does Short do? He's got two pieces attacked. What can he do?
What's he going to do?
What's he going to do? Is he going to take the pawn on g5?
He's going to sacrifice something, isn't
He's
he?
got to sacrifice. He's brought the knight into e4.
But the
He's attacking
check,
the queen.
check here is nothing because the knight takes it, and check here is nothing because the bishop
So
takes it. So
why can't Kasparov
he's
just
got
take the
to take
knight
the
off?
knight.
Just
He's
take
got to
it.
take
He's
the
a
knight.
piece up. Well, I can't
What's
see
the
Short.
idea?
He's taken a pawn, so he's a piece fawn down.
But black's king is
a bit-
within one check of mate, but
Yeah.
there's no useful checks, and the bishop on this diagonal is just controlling all of the squares around the king. But
I can't
where's the
believe
attack?
this. I can't believe that Nigel's got enough for a piece.
So just development, and now he's threatening
Yeah, he's developed
to
his
take the
bishop.
knight.
He's attacking the knight on e4.
this one.
So what's Short going to do? He's got a knight attacked. He's a piece down.
That's the idea. Well, let's just go
Let's
back.
go back.
He's
What's
taking it
gone on?
quickly. Rooks come
That's
in.
He's attacking the queen. So why can't
So
he
if
take the
queen
knight?
takes knight, rook takes
pawn, yeah.
pawn check.
And if pawn
That's
takes
the
rook,
check. Pawn
queen
takes
takes
rook, queen
pawn.
takes pawn, and you mate.
It's mate. That is
You mate.
brilliant.
That's why he took quickly. You've got to take.
Take the
Got to
rook.
take the
Take the
rook.
rook. Knight takes
no,
back
knight
with
takes
check.
check.
Now
And
king
now the
F8.
bishop's moved out of the way, so the king has a square. Okay.
So
Now
now
what's happened? You're
Short's a
rook
rook
down.
down. He's a rook down, but he's threatening rook takes pawn check on F7.
Certainly check down here, and if the king moves
Moves
away, the
in, bishop
queen's on the
somewhere.
bishop somewhere, and the queen will be giving mate
To the king
to the
on
king
G8.
on there. So
So Kasparov
where's
must
the
defend
defense?
this
You've got
pawn.
to defend
He can play
this.
rook H7, or knight takes the pawn on E5. Those are his options.
If he moves the rook, maybe there's a bishop check on this square.
That looks very nasty.
The rook can't take the bishop because
The
it
rook takes
needs to
pawn.
defend the pawn. Right.
So knight
This
takes
is getting
pawn.
exciting. What's
Knight
going
takes
on?
pawn. He
Knight
must
takes
play knight
pawn.
takes pawn. He's played
Okay,
knight takes pawn.
knight protects this pawn and attacks the queen.
So what's Nigel going to do now? He needs a good move.
I hate these games that are all
I know.
tactics.
He's got queen takes pawn
Right,
Yes, queen
right.
takes
This pawn's
pawn.
pinned. Pawn can't take the queen
because of the rook on F1.
because then the king's in check from the rook.
So
Right.
now he's threatening rook
Now
takes
he's
pawn
really
check.
threatening nasties down there.
It looks like, I think Kasparov's in real trouble suddenly. He's a rook up, but he's been threatened with
Well,
rook
if he-
takes pawn. What
If
can
he doesn't
do?
get mated, he's a rook up and he's going to win. So
Ah,
queen coming.
Queen
and the
there.
queen's sort of
He-
defending
it's
this
an
pawn
X-ray,
through
that's-
the.
It's an X-ray defence through the queen on E6.
But
An
there's
X-ray
It's
defence.
very cunning. We're very sophisticated in chess these days.
bishop and queen checks on
Yes,
that
he can-
square
he can
maybe.
check
Is that
on-
anything?
I don't know. The queen checks. The king
What
moved it.
is
Ah,
this?
he's given up another rook. What's going on?
You've got to take.
So he's
Gotta
now
take.
2 rooks down.
What's the idea? Now
He's
the bishop
checking.
checks.
He's checking.
Okay, you've got to get.
King must
Oh,
go
if the
to-
king goes here, queen here's mate.
So he must go to G7.
Yeah.
That's a forced
Hey, is
move.
this mate?
It is mate. It's queen G6 is mate. No,
This is
check.
And now the king's
King.
still got to go away.
And now he-
what's happening?
he
Now you're
takes the
2
knight
rooks
off.
down.
2 rooks down for an attack. So you must take that knight off. And now you're
This
threatening.
isn't going to go on for long, is it? Either it's mate or he's 2 rooks down.
Now you're threatening queen to H6 check, and then queen
And then
G6
queen
mate.
G6 mate.
So you're threatening mate in 2. So Kasparov must
Threatening
find a
knight
move.
here check as well.
And knight there check. So what's Kasparov going to do? He's threatened with almost two mates in 2.
That's clever. Is it clever?
He's brought the queen
It
across.
defends this square, so
And it defends
so
the
there's
square
no,
on H6.
and yeah, and that one.
So what's Nigel?
Is that enough?
he's
It's a
got a knight for
check.
2
You
rooks.
must play the knight check.
He must give that, yes.
That's the only square.
And now the check on E6 looks forced. He must can give a check.
Yeah. The king's got to go there.
And now bishop F6 check or queen F6 check.
Is this just going to be a draw?
No.
He's just checking about.
Queen is
Checking.
so Nigel's taking a perpetual check. Has he got
He's
any more?
thinking now.
He's thinking. Can he play for more?
He's not
given a
taking the
bishop.
draw.
This is incredible. He's 2 rooks are a piece down. He's going for the win. What's going on? King H6.
Well,
Now,
he couldn't go back to here because a queen here
Queen-
check would
and
have
that'd be
just
mate.
mated.
So now what does he do? Does he take the rook off with check? Bishop takes
So-
rook on H8? Or does he go knight F7? He's got a choice here. He's got knight
Knight.
F7 check. Now the
King
king
back.
moves.
now
now
what? Where's your
queen-
next check?
Queen F5 check?
Queen takes it. You can't.
Oh, queen takes it, right.
But you
No-
can't check here because the bishop's on it.
So what does he do? Does he go queen? Does he go knight
Oh, he's
takes
going
rook?
back.
He's going
He's going
back.
back.
Right.
So it's still a draw. for
Still a draw. He
Nigel.
has another perpetual. So he's already
Aha, he's taken a rook.
he's
You
taken a rook.
said would he play knight G5 check or take the rook, and he's done both.
He's done both. That's
So what happens now? He's sacrificing the knight as well.
you can take
The king
Kasparov
takes
can
the
take a
knight.
knight. Now that looks very
Well, there's an
risky
awful
though. He
lot
might
of
be in a
checks, aren't
mating.
there?
He might be in a mating.
The king
net.
gets chased all the way up the board.
There should be a mate.
Oh, he
there.
hasn't. It must have been mate. He hasn't taken it. Queen back.
So what's Nigel? Knight F7 check
Now
probably.
what's the material?
He's now
he's
got a
won the whole
bishop for a
rook
rook,
back.
so
Bishop
he's
for a
doing
rook.
quite well.
Bishop and 2 pawns for a
he
rook.
should be winning this position now. He's materially up, and he's got an attack. So this could be a win. Nigel could be winning this
Very
position.
dangerous.
He's got a knight and 2 pawns, and Kasparov's king's in all
And
sorts of trouble.
He's threatening knight here check, winning the queen.
He's threatening knight there, check, winning the queen.
Various other knight checks.
And queen takes the pawn on H4, maybe, just winning some more material.
Takes this. He was threatening queen takes bishop, of course, as
Yeah.
well. So the black's pawn grabbing with the queen is to defend that bishop, I think.
So what's happening? Nigel's got a
So it's
discovered
dreadful
check.
for-
Must be winning this position. Surely Nigel can win this. He's got any knight move. He's moved the bishop.
What's that?
I don't.
What's
that
that
can't
for?
be right. Why? No, what's that move?
Now, what's the weakness in that position then?
Well, he's moved his bishop, but suddenly Kasparov's going to have a whole load of checks now.
We
his
thought he was
queen.
just going to move.
We
give
thought
a
he was going
check
to move
with
his
a
knight, maybe
chase
knight
the
to
king up.
G5.
Maybe it
check.
wasn't mate.
Maybe it
but
wasn't, but it looked like it.
He's only slightly material down. He's got the initiative. Why is he? Do these
This,
checks
this
not
seems
lead to
hard to
anything?
believe. Let's go back
They
because
must lead to something.
this
Well,
move-
let's.
Let's go back because suddenly Kasparov's going to have a load of checks now. I can't see a way Short can get out
Well, he's
of
playing
it.
the check, so we'll go back if we have time at the end of the the game.
I think Nigel missed a chance there.
It's given a check, king out. Is there somewhere his king's going to
No,
get into
I can't see it
safety?
because the queen comes to f2.
Queen check.
King goes to d3. And now the queen just keeps on checking. Nigel can't escape because black's bishop on b7 just covers all the squares. No,
Got to
Nigel,
go back
it's
there.
just a draw.
They just passed the time control.
Oh dear, I think
And it's
Nigel's
just a
missed his
draw.
chance today.
They've agreed to draw.
That's
That's it.
terrible. I'm sure.
Oh,
It looked like he was just checkmating him or winning
So how
something.
many key opportunities did you identify in that where you think Nigel Short could have gone on to win?
I think there was one crucial moment when Kasparov had a very long think when he was defending, and it was the sort of had the feeling that he didn't like his position because he then played a lot of moves quickly as though he was trying to hustle. Short got into a little time shortage. He had only 3 minutes left of his last 4 moves, and it was round about then that he played the move that led to a draw, when one would have done anything to have a very long think there and work out just the right way to play it. It really looked as though something should be there.
Now, you both became very worried about that move bringing bishop back to e5.
Yeah, I'm sure if Nigel had played maybe his knight to g5, he had a discovered check, and the move just allowed Kasparov to force a draw. Now, Nigel was he only had a very slight material deficit. I'm sure there was a way he could have played for a win.
Is this the closest he's been to a win?
Definitely. This is the closest he's been. He played a great game today, and he sacrificed the house, and he came within sort of inches of winning.
Right, OK. Well, thank you, you two. We'll come back, hopefully, for a little more discussion in a moment. But now down at the Savoy, we'll go back there, where Dominic Lawson has just left the game. Dominic, the feeling was here with our 2 experts here in the studio that Nigel Short rather threw it away in the very closing stages.
That's right. There was a win. Both players agreed after the game. It wasn't a mating attack. It was just going into an ending 2 pawns up. So there were some technical difficulties. But I think that maybe Nigel was trying to find a mate, and there was no mate because, well, Kasparov, it's said that he fights with his fists and his feet, but if you chop his arms and legs off, he uses his teeth to defend himself, and that's what he was doing today.
Well, the suggestion here is that Nigel Short is carrying on with this these aggressive tactics, really beyond the point where it's actually sensible, whether he should be a bit more subtle. Now, you said that he went in wanting to rip off Kasparov's head, but as you said, that may not be enough of itself.
Well,
perhaps he should be a bit more subtle in his approach.
Francine, if he'd been a bit more subtle, I don't think he would have got a winning position of the sort he got today. Now, you can criticise him for being short of time and missing a win which perhaps he should have seen, but the fact is, by playing bludgeoning, aggressive, almost manic chess, he wiped away the defences around the champion's king and forced a position that was technically winning. So I think to criticise his approach is frankly idiotic.
Right. Well, I'll carry on with my idiocies here, and just to ask our two gentlemen in the studio, what do you think that Short should concentrate on now? If this was his best game to date,
He's got to recover from the loss of Kavalek. I think what Dominic was saying about Hübner and Spielman helping, and Steen being good analysts, better maybe than Kavalek, this isn't important. You need more than chess ideas. What Short has always needed, and what has brought him through so successfully the earlier matches, is the really calming influence of...
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think losing Kavalek is just a massive blow. I mean, Kavalek was there. I saw him when he was there, went to help Nigel beat Karpov. Nigel beat Karpov 6-4. He could have easily won that match 8-2. I mean 6-4 with a bit more experience. Short could have won that match even easier. And just looking the way Kavalek just had this ability to say, Nigel, just calm down, relax. There's no rush. You've got, he'd be saying here, you've got 24 games. Take your time. You don't have to go for it from game 1. And Short's play here, there just seemed such a rush. Okay, Dominic was saying that he almost won today, but I don't think this is percentage chess. I think in the long run, you've got to be a bit slower.
Dominic, if I can bring you in again, Bill and Julian here seem to suggest that Kavalek is more crucial to Nigel Short's success than you were indicating before.
Yeah, I think, well, they're not very close to this. The fact is that the openings that Nigel has been playing, all of them that you've seen, have been prepared with Kavalek. So if you think they're the wrong openings, they're too aggressive, then you should think about that. The other point is that I think Nigel did learn a great deal from Kowalik over many, many years. But I think to some extent he'd absorbed what he needed. And I think that what he needs now is, in fact, good analytical help, because Kasparov is coming up with improvements all the time. And it needs a very technical approach, I think, rather than merely a pat on the back and a walk around the park.
Dominic, you've obviously been with Nigel Short's friends and advisors today. What was his mood after the end of today's game?
Well, I think mixed. He was obviously very annoyed that he'd missed a win, which he hadn't seen but felt intuitively was there. But he was justifiably proud of some of the moves, sacrificing the knight, a rook and another rook. And Kasparov afterwards described Nigel's play as great. And I think if the world champion describes his opponent's play as great, other players, less good, should perhaps show Short the same respect.
Right. Well, thank you very much indeed, Dominic. And I think probably thank you too as well in the studio to Julian and to Bill.